Hello everyone, it's Heather Klug, the registered dietitian from the Karen Yance Women's Cardiac Awareness Center. It's National Nutrition Month and we're celebrating a world of cuisines. So for week 2, we are doing Latin American dishes. There's so many great options we can choose with this, so many fun ones, delicious ones, but I thought I'd do Baja Fish Tacos. So there are 3 parts to this recipe. It's the slaw, the sauce, and then the fish. So first up, we're gonna do the slaw. So to make this, you're gonna shred some green cabbage and some red cabbage. So we're gonna put that in the dish. And I'm gonna show you guys real quickly, if you want to shred this on your own, don't be intimidated by cabbage. So when you buy cabbage, there might be some wilty or dried leaves on the outside. Like this one, we could maybe take that off a little bit. And then you're gonna cut the cabbage. Now I don't have the whole one here because I've already cut it up, but basically you're gonna cut the whole thing through the stem end on the bottom. And then you're gonna have 2 halves, and then for each of those halves, you're gonna cut them in half again. So you're gonna be left with 4 quarters that kind of looks like this one. Now we still need to cut off the stem part here, and that's real easy to do, but you do wanna use a sharp knife. So I'm gonna cut right down here. And don't worry if you don't get it right away, you can always go back in, and then we're gonna go down the other side. And then you can just pull it right off. Now the next step, you can cut the cabbage the short way, like this, and then we're gonna get some smaller sort of pieces, or you can do it this way, where you can get longer ones. For this recipe, we're gonna do short ones. So that's how I did it for this one, and then you can go back in, and you can even cut them a little bit smaller. But again, make sure you're using a really sharp knife, like a chef's knife. All right, so back to our slaw. So we've got the green and the red cabbage here in the dish. We're also gonna add some shredded carrots. And you can buy these just in a bag if you don't wanna shred your own. And if you wanna make this, I'll give you guys a real quick, easy tip to make this faster. You can buy one of those packaged salads that already has these 3 things chopped up or shredded up already. So then you can just skip that step. But then buy some fresh cilantro, and we're gonna add that into the dish. And then the last few things, we're gonna add just a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon. And we're gonna add a tablespoon of fresh lime juice. Make sure you always use fresh. It's gonna taste so much better. And then we're gonna add in just a little bit of salt, just a real tiny bit. If you're trying to keep blood pressure down, you can even skip this part if you'd like. All right, and then we're just gonna mix that up, and we're gonna have a delicious slaw. This is gonna go on top of the corn tortillas and underneath the fish. Doesn't that look pretty? I think it looks so colorful. Last tip I just give you guys, when you're cutting up the red cabbage, just keep in mind it might make your fingers a little kind of purplish sort of looking, but don't worry, it washes off. But if you're concerned at all, you can always wear gloves if you'd like as well, and then just be careful with what you're wearing. Maybe wear an apron. All right, so that's our slaw. All right, step 2 for making our Baja Fish Tacos is making the sauce. And this is something you can make ahead of time, and it'll just take you a couple minutes, but if you do it ahead of time, you'll have it ready to go. All right, a big part of the base for this sauce is gonna be plain Greek yogurt. I like to use this brand, Fage, and you can even go all the way down to 0% fat because Greek yogurt is so thick, okay? And that'll help cut down on the saturated fat. And then we're gonna add in some light mayo. And again, the recipe will be down below so you can see the amounts in there, but we're using just a little bit of each. All right, and then we're gonna add a little bit of lime juice. You're gonna wanna add about 1 to 2 tablespoons here. And again, always use fresh lime juice whenever you can. And then we're gonna add a little bit of seasoning. So this is chili lime seasoning and just a little bit of salt. Chili lime seasoning is something that's used in a lot of Mexican dishes. If you can't find it, it is in most stores. You can also make up your own concoction for that if you'd like. You can use chili powder, cumin, you'd add garlic powder, onion powder, you could add lime zest to it, a little cayenne, and just mix all that together, okay? And if you need to, this looks like pretty good, but it might be a little thick, so you can always keep a little bit of this water on hand. You don't want to add too much more lime juice or it'll end up being a little too tart. Whoops. Okay. So just keep adding water till you get it to the consistency that you like. I don't want to add too much. Okay. All right, I think that's pretty good. All right, so there's our sauce. And again, when you're done with this, you can put this in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. All right, everybody, step 3 of our Baja Fish Tacos is cooking the fish. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna buy a pound of white fish. I'm using cod. You could also use tilapia. You could use snapper, whatever you would like. And if you want to, you can cut it into smaller portions. I bought this from the deli, and they were all kind of different sizes, so I thought I would cut them. All right, like here's a little bigger piece right here. And we're cooking these in some extra, cooking those in some extra virgin olive oil, nice heart healthy fat. All right, the seasoning on here, you can use whatever you'd like, but in the recipe, we're using some cumin and then a little bit more of that chili lime seasoning that I talked about earlier when we made the sauce. All right, so with these, the fish is not going to take too long to cook. Again, it depends on the thickness of your fish. The thicker it is, the longer it will take to cook through. But this will roughly take about 4 to 5 minutes per side, okay? You're gonna cook it until it's all the way cooked through, till it's kind of a, till you can't see it basically, till it's opaque. And then what we want to achieve with this is a little bit of charring on it as well. So we'll get that delicious flavor. Now another option is if you don't want to cook it on the stove, you can also bake the fish in the oven. To do that, you'd still put the seasoning on them, put them on a baking sheet, and then you'll bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes. All right, so we'll let those cook through, and when we're done, I'll show you what those look like and how we assemble our tacos. All right, everybody, we're on to the best part, and that's assembling the tacos, and then we can eat them. So before we assemble the tacos, though, we need to make sure that we have our tortillas all ready to go. So this is real easy to do. You do want to warm up your tortillas. You can kind of char them a little bit if you'd like. That makes them nice and pliable so they don't break once you get the toppings in them. So all you're going to do is take a pan that's pretty much right around this size. You're going to heat the pan to around medium heat. And once it's hot, you put your tortilla in there and set the timer on the stove. Mine worked out to roughly about 25 to 30 seconds before my fire alarm would go off. So somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds, flip it over with a pair of tongs and then cook them on the other side. Okay, so just do that with each one till you have the number of tacos you need. And then you can keep them warm as you go. Get a paper towel wet, just a little bit wet, set it in a little dish like this, unless you have a tortilla warmer. And then when your tacos are done charring, set them in here and fold them up so they stay nice and warm. All right, so here's how you're gonna assemble your tacos. So you're gonna put a little bit of slaw on the bottom of each taco. So put on there however much you like. Maybe we'll put a little bit more. Doesn't that look pretty though? So many pretty colors in the slaw. Now, if you have some picky eaters in your family, like I do, they might not want the slaw. So your other option is you could cut up other vegetables, cut up whichever ones they like. Like you could cut up tomatoes, you could cut up onions, maybe some avocado, whatever you kind of like on there. After the slaw, we're gonna put our cooked fish on there. So with my fish, I like to break it apart into smaller pieces, but you can leave them in bigger chunks. I got a few different sizes there, but you're gonna set that right on top of the slaw, just like a couple ounces for each one. Okay, we'll put a little more on this one. That looks good too. I can't wait to eat these. All right, and then last thing is our sauce. Let me give that a quick stir again. And then you're gonna put a little dollop on there. Okay. And then if you like, you could also sprinkle a little bit of cotija cheese on there, which is a Mexican cheese, kind of like Parmesan. All right, there we go, everybody. These are your Baja Fish Tacos. Don't those look great? So you can also serve these with some lime wedges, make it look nice and festive. Again, the recipe is down below if you'd like to make this at home. Thanks for joining me. Bye.